Welcome everyone. We'll just wait a couple of minutes to let everyone join, but we'll start in a couple of minutes. All right, let's get started. So welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today on a webinar titled Executing Your Business Strategy with Bob's Workforce Planning. So I'm your host, Justin Seal. I am accompanied by my colleague, Casey Gibson, who will be taking through the more exciting part of the webinar, which is a live demo into what our platform, Bob, has to offer within the workforce planning space. But before we get started, I just wanted to go over some housekeeping pieces. So as I always say, there's no such thing as a stupid question. So we'd love for you to participate in the discussion. So on the bottom right hand of your screen, you will find the questions and chat function. So please pop your questions or any comments in there. As a baseline, everyone is anonymous except from a first name basis. So unless you wish to identify yourself and the company that you work for. You can also react to the session by using emojis, and also we'll be running several polls throughout the webinar as well. So we encourage you to participate and interact with us. I'll pass the baton on to Casey in a moment for the demo, but to formally introduce myself, I'm an implementation manager in the customer success team based in Sydney, Australia. I've been part of the Bob Village for almost 4 months now, and it's been an absolute blast. Prior to this, I've been working within the HR space for about 10 years. Started as a HR coordinator, worked my way through recruiting, consulting, some back office roles as well, before landing in a HR systems lead role. Through my journey, I became passionate about the role that HR plays within the businesses, but more importantly, the role that tech plays to support the boring or the hard parts of HR, so that more effort and focus can be placed on the more important and the fun stuff. So here I am on the other side of the fence, now helping Bob customers through their implementation journeys. And at Bob, we believe in bringing our full selves to the workplace. So some quick little snippets about me outside of work is that I'm a volleyball coach by night. I love Excel, incredibly good at telling bad jokes. And me and my wife own 2 dogs, Teddy and Biscuit, and you can see their smiling faces just there on the side there. But let's not get distracted by their cute faces and forget why we're here. We're here to talk about workforce planning. But before we dive into the demo itself, let's talk a little bit about the what, the why, and the when. So what exactly is workforce planning? You might have heard it around. The phrase has been thrown around a little bit, but in its raw and simplest form, it is about getting the right people at the right time and the journey of figuring out how to do that. So from a practical sense, you need to be assessing your organization's current and future resourcing needs and creating a strategy for the people you require to achieve those needs. It's a process where it's a beautiful marriage between HR, finance, and business leaders coming together to analyze exactly what the business will need in terms of the size of the workforce, the type of labor, including the skills and experience needed in order to achieve what they want to achieve right now. But also looking into the future, not just the right now. So why exactly is workforce planning important? Well, it's becoming more and more important in today's landscape as businesses need to be more agile to match the pace of change of not only within their own marketplace, but the world as well. So for growing businesses, understanding the right now will allow you the foresight and the planning to ensure that you are growing in a sustainable and responsible way. If you choose not to engage in workforce planning, then in some shape or form, then it may lead to some costly consequences, such as the misalignment of business goals against your workforce. So for example, if you've planned for a certain level of growth within your business, but you don't have the people to actually do the work, well, then that's a recipe for disaster, and you won't be able to meet those business objectives. It'll also hamper your ability to be agile and actually be ready for any kind of change or the ability to pivot. So how would it be possible for you to identify operational efficiencies and have the ability to move pieces of your workforce around if you don't understand what skills and competencies you already have and what you'll need? It's like trying to do a jigsaw puzzle with a blindfold or playing a game without understanding the actual rules. So it's always important to have that bigger picture. Also, as another side effect, it'll also mean that there'll be no hiring plan in place, which has a flow-on effect to your talent management and talent acquisition strategies. So knowing ahead of time that your business has hard to find skills or skills that require a long time to develop, it might mean that you need to devise a retention strategy to protect and develop those skills, or ensure that you're training and providing that guidance and mentorship for your future talent as well. Or if you don't have these skills already in your organization, then enabling your talent acquisition teams to proactively start canvassing for prospects before the need even arises. It allows them to be way more strategic and efficient in their hiring practices, and they'll be able to get more done as well. So the last question that I'll cover is when does a company need to start considering workforce planning? Well, the reality is you're probably engaging in some or most of the elements of workforce planning. Even if that's all held in your head, if you've had a conversation or considerations in your business for, let's say, the number of people or the job roles you have, so from a demand and supply perspective, or looking for very specific skills and competencies during a recruitment process, maybe career pathing to look at what kind of leaders you want to be developing or talent you want to be developing within your organization. If you've ever had a look at your cost of your labor, so modeling your current workforce or scenario planning for either worst or best case scenarios, or if you've ever assessed the ability to move an employee from one position to another due to new projects or to support different business problems, then the answer is yes. Yes, you have. You've been doing it. Granted, it may look different depending on your size and maturity level, but you've been doing it. So I just want to take a quick breather here in terms of to launch a poll to see where you guys are currently at within your workforce planning journey. So, yep. So on your screen or on the bottom right hand, you can participate and let's see what we get. So I'll just let that poll run and I'll come back to it in a second. But I guess in terms of thinking about, there are certain trigger points or events and some scenarios which you'd want to fine tune your workforce planning practices and start reviewing the tools that enable you to do so. Some use case examples, such as if you're expecting major growth and will be doing a lot of hiring, so regardless of the size of your company. If you're planning a restructuring or about to go through a merger or acquisition, then you'll want to understand the overlaps and the operational efficiencies within your workforce. If your HR and finance are doing headcount budget planning, either for adjusting for market requirements or to achieve alignment between your financial and people strategies, then that conversation will obviously need to be had with both. Or simply you're a public traded company and need to disclose cost and headcount at any given time at the drop of a hat. So just coming back to the poll, we've got a nice little spread across the spectrum. So some of you guys are already engaged in using a tool, but more importantly, some of you guys are already having conversations. Might be on the side, it might be ad hoc, and it might be covering some of those elements, which is really good to see. And then some of you guys are using some spreadsheets, and so yeah, really nice even spread across all the options there. One thing to quickly note is that workforce planning should never be an annual set and forget activity. It will require consistent tracking and monitoring throughout the year to ensure that your information is up to date. So on the occasion there is a need to pivot your plan or the business plan for whatever reason, all the information is already available at your fingertips. So you'll have all the puzzle pieces and know exactly what game you're playing. As a final note from me, starting to manage workforce planning may look like data in a spreadsheet. So for you guys out there in the audience, that might be your reality right now. But depending on your size, your trajectory of growth, and complexity of business and roles, now, don't get me wrong, I love me Excel, I love me an Excel spreadsheet, but there is a tipping point before it becomes exponentially too difficult to manage and it starts presenting its own challenges. And that's when a better solution will need to come into the picture. So this is a perfect point for me to hand over to Casey to talk about how Bob tackles these challenges.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Justin, and welcome everybody. It's definitely a pleasure to be here. Again, my name is Casey Gibson, and I am a senior sales engineer with HiBob. Before I joined HiBob, I spent 20 years in human resources in many different leadership roles, but I really became passionate about technology and education. So I moved into HR tech, and I also became a professor where I continue to share my love of human resources. Personally, I am based in Toledo, Ohio, in the Midwestern US, so I apologize for the animated American accent in advance. I also have 4 dogs, a fiance, and 2 kids, and I'm pursuing my doctorate with a research interest in occupational burnout. So in looking back over my HR career, the 2 toughest aspects of any job that I had were reactive hiring and also reactive restructuring, which can severely impact culture and morale. I've worked with several companies who have lacked visibility into their organizations because they really lack those tools to truly plan. And systems have been disjointed until now. Standalone workforce planning tools have been very complex. Our workforce planning module is our most recent innovation. And I'm really excited because it was built by human resources. So it keeps 2 things in mind: simplicity and stakeholders. So today I'm going to share that module with you, as well as what we're looking at the future. We look closely with our customers to design our technology, and we heard from them loud and clear that this module was necessary. They asked for it, so we built it, like we do with all of our other modules. Many of our customers were using different platforms to help with planning. Many were also using spreadsheets, which could lead to breaks in data and data entry errors. Excuse me. So with Bob, you're getting that single source of truth that is going to give you effortless visibility as you plan without the pains of tracking on multiple systems or in spreadsheets. Many systems create workforce planning in mind for finance, and I've seen that lead to adoption issues because they only speak the language of finance. Our UI allows for anyone to jump in and plan without extensive training or needing an analytics background to interpret that data. So we built this system for everybody to use, not just finance. Let's talk about quickly where workforce planning sits within Bob. So we built the job architecture within our core HR as the blueprint of the system. This is the leveling of the positions in the organization. And if you haven't built a job architecture already, this is something that you'll want to do prior to leveraging our workforce planning tool, as the leveling is essential to that module. But the great thing is that the job architecture goes entirely across the system for deeper insights and analytics. So with that, I am going to go ahead and jump into Bob. For those of you who might have not seen Bob, say hi to Bob. Oftentimes, I get really eager to see analytics because I am a data geek, but I am going to show you how the cake is made before I show you the end result. So let's look at this from a job catalog perspective to start. Again, this is in the core HR functionality of the system. So this is our job catalog. You can see that we have a name, all of the functions and attributes, such as the hierarchy. And I'm showing just a few of the attributes that I have set up, but you can add as many as you wish. It's very easy to set up a new job. If you need to make changes to the hierarchy or the leveling, you have that capability to do straight from here if you have the admin privileges. We have a simple setup and easy maintenance of the system, so you're spending more time focusing on your people and not navigating around Bob. Okay, so this is our job catalog. Again, core functionality spreads all throughout the system. Now let's take a look at the workforce planning module.
Casey, I'll just interject. It's not showing on screen at the moment.
It is not.
Yep.
I apologize. Let me disable and let me enable this again.
Thanks, Jack, for letting us know as well.
Yes, yes. Okay. Is my screen visible now?
Yep, in the perfect place.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Well, let me come back into the job catalog. Again, we're in the job catalog. Here is, again, our famous column picker that you have the capability to view all of the function, the hierarchies, anything really that you consider as an attribute to the position or the job. And then to add a new job, you just simply click on that button. You can have any of these attributes as custom fields, and you can edit those fields directly from within this module. Again, if you have those permissions from an administrative perspective. Okay. So again, I apologize for that, but let's jump out of the core functionality of the system, and we'll take a look at the workforce planning module. And I'm going to jump into our position management function. Now, again, I'm an admin in the system, so I can see all of the positions across the org. However, if I was a manager, I'd only see the positions that roll up through me and my organization. The system has many things that are very helpful for you to navigate across the positions. So for example, I have the capability to filter across the positions. I also have an org chart, and I have the capability to really see not only the occupied positions, but those planned positions for the future in the workforce. So you can see those with the TBH. Those means that those positions mean that they are approved roles that have not yet been filled, and they might not have even been open because they may be a Q2 or a Q3 hire. Now, moving back into the worksheet, you have this worksheet and it is live in Bob. And I have the ability to consume this data any way that I want. I can change the arrangement. Again, I can use our column picker as well to include information that I want or maybe that I don't want to view. And this is where you're going to have all of those attributes that you wish to track and report on. And I have the ability to, again, filter on this detail as well. If I want to click on a role here, it's going to allow for me to take specific actions. So for example, this position is filled by Zoe. It's not going to allow for me to cancel or reopen the position because somebody is sitting on that role. If it was vacant, I'd have the capability to put things on hold or continue to edit them. Now, I love visualization on the fly here. And one of the most recent releases that we included is the ability to group information. So, for example, I've got the ability to group by department, and then maybe I want to filter it by the position status. I've got the capability to do that so I can see what positions are filled with an individual. I can see what positions are being vacated by an individual, as well as positions that will be filled soon by an individual. So you can see that these individuals, they have received their offers and they're ready to begin employment, and we have that start date. We also have all of our vacant positions, and we'll come back to this when we talk about our integrations with applicant tracking systems. Notice here, up towards the top, there is a new position button. This can be something that you can empower your hiring managers to leverage when they have a new role. You can have different templates with different approval flows. And ultimately, these fields are custom fields that you can leverage to have the employee or the manager input things such as the full-time equivalent, the site, etc. So you're really controlling that data and keeping it clean so all of your naming conventions are consistent. There are no typos, and you actually have control of the data and the flow of that data. Now, if you want to check to see the positions that have been requested, you can easily do so. So as you have your configured approval process, you have the capability to view these requested positions across the organization and exactly where they are in that approval process. Now, I'd like to go into an existing position so you can see all of those attributes that are being documented within the position. So here's a corporate marketing manager. We have the capability to see any attribute that's been populated. We can also edit those attributes as well. And of course, duplicate a position because we are not in the business of continuously manually entering data. We also have the incumbent history. So this is really nice because you're going to be able to see trends, budgetary details, and competencies as people move in and out of that role over time. You're going to have a wealth of data to analyze. This is the position management. This is the daily management of those roles that are outside of the cycle. Now, let's go in and talk about our workforce planning events here, okay? This is what we call our cycles, and essentially where everybody takes a step back to look at the entire organization or a specific site or department, or even get more granular to plan for those roles. An event is where you can have all of the planners in one place, able to see all of the worksheets and have an approval process and still have all of those attributes, processes, and actions that we just saw. Now, I'm going to go into an event here, and here you have the capability to see all of the positions in the organization and also 203 worksheets. This means you have 203 people that are going to be requesting positions. You can work with the managers through these worksheets to understand if they have new positions needed for the upcoming year, if they're changing or cutting positions due to change in business plans. And also, if you click the positions tab, you can then see all of the current requested and changed positions. And again, you can customize your view through the column picker, and you can download this data if you wish. I'm going to log in as a manager here so you can visualize what things look like from a manager's eyes as they are planning here. So I want to reiterate, you can control who sees what within the Bob system. Very easy to manage those administrative components while also giving the same look and feel and experience to everybody that uses this platform. I've logged into Aaron McPherson, who is the Chief Customer Officer here. And when I come into the headcount planning, I can only see the events that Aaron has been invited to plan with, and I can only see the roles in those events that roll up through him. Now, you can come in and you can click on these positions here, and you're going to be able to see each individual's worksheet. So I can see Braden Strong's worksheet, for example. I also have the capability to view my own for planning purposes. Now, what you see here is the filters, the column picker, the grouping, but it's only for the positions that roll directly up to Aaron here. Now, one thing that I think is really impactful for our clients, and our clients have really said to us that the capability to really visualize the type of changing, the impacts of changing is very useful. So what you see here, very similar look to your spreadsheet, your Excel worksheet, but it's all across the platform. And because that platform is connected, you have the capability to see the different breakdowns of the positions, what's being changed, what's being added, or what's being removed. Now I'm going to go back in to the the administrative view again, and I'm going to go into an event here. And what you're going to see as a planner, as an admin, excuse me, you have several different actions that you can take. So I'm going to go into Isla Alvarez's worksheet, and this is me viewing as somebody in human resources. I've got the capability to take certain actions on behalf of Isla, such as duplicating a role, or I can edit the role. I also have an actions button that allows for me to submit on behalf, or even nudge Isla if she's taking some time with getting her information in and we're waiting for her to approve. This way, you have the ability to drive actions through Bob that will hopefully turn this information around quickly. Now, after this planning process takes place, you can have a custom review and approval process. There actually is a notification process that takes place via email as well as within Bob. We're going to send out notifications to review and approve as that workforce plan rolls up through the organization. After it goes through the approval process, the events are going to be closed and the events will be locked in. You can then implement those changes once you're ready to move forward. And what you see in position management is the changes. So we're moving directly from the events into position management for your daily maintenance of the roles. Now, let's tie everything together with our analytics. So many of you have seen our dashboards, and the great thing about this is now this data is a part of workforce planning, but also our core data as well. So we can track all of your information, across the entire systems, and you can customize as much as you like. It's been categorized so you can drill deeper into the details. And keep in mind, all of this data, again, runs directly across the system. So this really allows for you to interpret that data and tell the story over how the company is moving. So with Bob, you can plan your workforce without leveraging Band-Aids to be your source of truth. You can manage positions with approvals, and you have the visibility so you can drive efficiency across the entire system, along with that consistent user experience that everybody loves about Bob. We also have lots of innovations coming up on the horizon specific to workforce planning. But first, I want to give you a disclaimer that we've got a great roadmap, but things may change. The great news is that we have a great track record of pushing things out that we are committed to. But again, some things might change, so I always consider this as the most important slide of any presentation. Budget management is the top request heard from the field, and we're working on it to be configurable to meet every customer's needs without overcomplicating that user experience. Even though financial data is a must for workforce planning, we need to be careful. Bob is not a financial planning tool, nor is it meant to replace financial planning tools. We're looking to work well with finance systems to add an additional dimension to the position planning process.
Casey, you just need to switch your screen to the slides.
I am so sorry. I was not. I keep pushing share my window, not my screen. Okay. Disable screen sharing. Enable share screen. All right. We've got it?
Yeah, looking good.
Okay. Sorry about that. So again, the financial components, that is something that our customers really want to be able to see. They want to take a look at, the budget component and how that rolls up through the organization. Something that we heard loud and clear, even before we created the workforce planning tool, but we definitely wanted to take a crawl, walk, and run approach. And now that we've got it and we're getting lots of good feedback, we're adding that financial dimension to the process. We're also going to allow for you to continually monitor and adapt your plan for efficiency and unexpected changes. This includes planning and visualizing through our org chart, which I just showed you. We just released that. We're also going to enhance our integrations and push positions that have been approved to recruit out to ATSs, such as Greenhouse. We're also adding a collaboration hub that allows each stakeholder to input notes. This allows for you to continue to focus on doing business in that one system while Bob takes care of the rest through that streamlined processes and integrations and analytics. Now, I've worked with a lot of my friends in finance, right? And what they will tell you is budgets and actuals are two different things. And as we continue to enhance our workforce planning module, you'll get a view of both those budgets and those actuals in the system with easy analysis and storytelling. I also want to reiterate that workforce planning is not just that financial tool, but it's also an excellent lever to pull for talent development. It's very effective when it is easy. And we're going to be tying job competencies to the workforce planning module in the second half of the year. Now, this is important because we want to create job transparency within the organization, and those skills are the backbone. You'll have the capability to build the skills framework all from within the system of record, so you can easily identify the right areas for employment in all of your employees. So this is my last slide, and I want to thank everybody for your time today. And I'm going to go through to see if there are any questions that we might have out there, and I'll give it a few moments for any additional questions. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I hope everyone has a fantastic day.